Good morning. Our hand today is going to be Queen 5. We are at a 10-0 game. Early position, we fold. Small blind raises. And then we get a 3-bet. All right, so small blind's going to call. Let's work through some ranges. We'll start here. He 3-bet. We've seen this guy before. We have notes. His 3-bet that we've, or the hand when he 3-bet, he had ace queen off. Hands that we can see is queens plus, ace queen plus, ace king, or ace queen plus, both suited offsuit. So we know that. We know those ranges. So we can add that. That's only about 4%. He's playing about 7% on 3-bet. And that means he's 3-betting with hands that we're not seeing him go to the showdown with. So I think we're going to have to expand his range a bit. Tens and jacks, we do have that as like a called 2-bet from the blinds. So maybe it's not like tens and jacks. Maybe it's something like ace jack that he's expanded with. We look at the hands. I see jacks in call 2-bet from blinds range. I mean, I see that. Called 3-bets in position. Called any 4-bets, aces and queens. And it just seems strange for him to have this range, almost 4%, yet raise 7%. I mean, he has to be getting pretty lucky to do this. Could we add like ace jack, ace king, or ace jack and king queen? That gets us up to 6. Is there suggestions for it? Well, we have a call 2-bet from the blinds range with king queen. We have that, so he probably isn't raising. I'm just pointing it out that I think it's queens plus ace queen, but his numbers, 7%, just seems like he's doing it more often. But it's going to be with hands that we don't see him play. So maybe like ace 4, ace 5, he's throwing in some bluffs. It's tough to say. But anyways, we'll keep this. All right, this next player, 15-12. He looks tight. We have some notes on him. Not much, though. We've got over 500 hands. Here we go preflop. Attempt to steal, 44%. So 4 out of 9. We're looking at least 40%. Probably is the steal range. And I put a range like this. Like when I do the slider, it wants to put all of these low suited connectors. I just don't think most people raise those. Instead, here we have a raise, a steal potential, and I think they tend to be shifted more towards like Broadway, big hands, and then some of these like suited aces, suited kings, ace X offsuit, and then your gappers. Or your connectors, your one gappers, and so forth. So we're at 46% right now. Now, he's not playing all this because he hits 3-bet. And now I think he's really going to be tightening up. Let's go back to here, preflop. We have, let's see here, fold. I think I have it here. Fold to 3-bet after raising. Hasn't really done that, but you can see he really has overall 60%. So he's definitely going to be tightening up. So the question is, what is he going to tighten up with? I think he's getting rid of the vast majority of these hands, including the suited kings. So if he's playing, let's say 40%, we'll make it easy. He's playing 50% and he folds 30, or he folds 60%. That means he's folding, or he's only going to be seeing a flop with about 20% of his hands. So we're looking at, if he's only at 45, you're looking at maybe less than 15%, maybe. No, about 15, between 15 and 20 for 60%. So he's out of position. He doesn't 4-bet. And I think 4-betting basically would be like aces and kings. We don't have that information. I think aces and kings, and I think there is a chance that it would be ace king that would 4-bet. But I think I'm going to say 2/3 of the time he's probably just going to call with ace king. We look at stacks. He started with 100. He's over 200. So I think he's going to be cautious. We have, I think he's probably going to be calling with the pocket pairs. We're at 13%. This is probably closer to what he's calling with here, and he may even be tighter. He raised, he gets 3-bet. He could be tighter. That's 13%, 14% to add those. I just don't think the one gappers are going to be calling, and I actually don't think a lot of these connectors are going to be calling. So I think we're going to go to 12%, 12.4%, and be happy with it. I don't think that the ace-x suited hands, we'll keep him in because a lot of people play him. I'm kind of thinking he doesn't have all of those in his range. The most likely hands that he has in his range, I think, are like the ace king, ace queen, king queen, some of the high pocket pairs, and then there's chances that he plays with the rest of these pairs and the rest of these unpaired hands. So we see a flop, 7-6-3. We get a check and we get a bet of half pot. I think here it's pretty standard. He's going to be heavy on his overpair. Probably his flush draw. We do have some information on c-bets. So with the c-bet, so with his 3-bet, when he had ace queen, he was out of position. He check raised, basically 100% to get all in. His raise versus in stats, he always seemed to lead. Bet 50%, bet 50%. We've got to bet 60% here. Those are the top lines. I think he's probably going to be c-betting most of the time here. And with ace king, ace queen, would he be betting those? I'm going to say, yeah, he was aggressive. I think that's probably standard for him in this situation. I mean, he's got a lot of hands. I think he bets if he gets called. If he has ace king, ace queen, and does not improve, he's probably checking. So he bets and he gets called. So what's this guy going to call with? I think he's calling with the sets. Probably with the sets. I could see a check raise here. Trying to get all in at this point. I could see a slow play too. So we could say 50% of the time he would be check raising his sets. The other he would just be check calling. I think overpair probably calls. Same thing. I think we have to think about, are the players going to be raising these to apply pressure, or are they just going to call to see if the turn helps them or not, and then make their move? This is also, I'm just going to say 50%. So some of the time they're going to be check raising, some of the time they're just going to be calling. I think the pairs, top pair, middle pair, 4s and 5s are probably going to be calling. I think bottom pair is going to call because, again, this board isn't really going to connect with any of the ace king, ace queen hands. So I think he is calling with those. We'll have the flush draw, we'll have the open ender calling, and that's probably it. I think gut shot's probably just gonna fold the hand. So we got 43%. Board pairs with 7. All right, so villain 7 checks. Now we have a bet of 33 2/3. So I think at this point this is over pair. We'll include the flush draw as well. So he could have ace king, ace queen, but they would be clubs. So I think the overpair is still betting here. And I think that makes sense with the sizing, because at this point he could be putting villain on a draw of some sort. He could be putting villain on a draw of some sort and trying to get some value. I think I would. You could also put him on the overpair. I'm probably thinking the overpair route. That's what we're trying to target. So he bet, and now we get the check raise all in. I do think he's going to be check raising the full house. Probably going to be check raising the three of a kind. Probably also going to be check raising the overpair. I don't see him check raising anything else in this case. So then it comes down to this villain. Do we call? Do we call? I mean, we're looking at quads, full house, three of a kind. Those hands all beat us. We're gonna have to outdraw, or it could be some sort of overpair. I think overall, when you think about the overpair, you're thinking eights, nines, tens, jacks, queens, or ace, nines. Yeah, and the queens. We included the queens. You've got 6 combos for each of those. You're dealing with 30 combos total for those overcards, compared to like your 2 combos for a7. These are 1.65. So say the equivalent of 3 combos for a full house, 2 combos for three of a kind, and I think we could change that to show combos. I mean, those are the combos. So like overall, he's going to be heavy in these overpairs. So yeah, I do think at this point you've put in 33. I don't think you can fold. And I think with all of your overpairs, your aces, kings, queens are the only ones that you might consider fold. But we assume aces and kings would have been 4-bet pre-flop. So I think we're calling with our overpair hands. And I believe he does call, because we get to the showdown, and then 7 gets there. So he shows ace queen. He shows jacks. So we did have the flush draw. We put that flush draw in there because I also think when you have that, or we didn't take it out. I think we have those 23%. We're getting 3.33 to 1. So technically, we don't have the odds to draw, and we could check that right now. So we're going to pull up Equilab. We are going to give him, we will give him this range that we had. That's his range. And then we'll just do ace clubs, queen of clubs, because that's what he actually had. We'll do 7, 3, 6, and he has 7 of spades. All right. All right. So yeah, at this point in the equity, we're missing hands. Oh, that's why. It didn't like, I guess it didn't like the combos. All right, so let's just do the ranges. We're gonna do 3s, 6, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, queens, and we'll do a7s. And we're gonna assume that they have 100% of all of these. Let's do that. So that's better. So we're at 25%, 24.5%. We're getting, or we need 23%. So yeah, it's not, we're not at that like 4-1 where we have to catch the flush, because of those overpairs. If we catch an ace or a queen, we can also win. So I'm sure that's where it's coming from. And it's probably going to be slightly better because we have fewer 3s, 6s, and 7s, because we would have assumed there was going to be a check raise coming up. We also only did 50%, for those. So what we've kind of done is shifted our percentages slightly, but still, yeah, I guess it would be okay for him to call with the ace queen. I think it would be difficult to kind of fold the ace king, ace queen, especially if you're thinking the overpair. We didn't talk about that, and I just kind of forgot about it. I'm kind of thinking he's on the overpair, but he could also have the club draw. And the reason I'd say I'd probably call too is for the same reason that I said why we're at 25%. I think any ace, any queen could be a winner for us if we're up against these pocket pairs that are above the board. So we had that, and we also had the jacks that was in there. So we can take some hands. We already know his hand. RFI. Let's get this. And call 11 big blind, 3-bet, 3V, and call big blind, 11 big blind, 3B with jacks. Let's show those. Out of position, check call 50%, check raise, all in. So how are we gonna do this? Oh no, he check called. Yeah, he check called 50%. We'll say 80. Check raise all in 80 big blinds into 80 big blind versus 66% bet. There we go. We'll do that. 7 clubs, 6 diamonds, 3 clubs, 7 spades. And then it doesn't really matter what that is because that's our action. All right, so let's take a note for this. We've got a 3-bet. There we go. 3-bet, 11 big blinds. So that was like 3.75, 3.66x in big blind versus small blind, 3 big blind RFI with ace queen of clubs. He's in position. He bet 50%, bet 66%, and call all in. And call, we'll say about 50 big blinds more all in. All right, so we've got those hands. So let's talk about it. What do we think? I think it's okay. I think it's pretty standard. We've got these ranges picked out. Kind of have it in there. We just talked about the Equilab stuff with him. Yeah, I think he's probably going to be calling here with the ace king, ace queen of clubs. I don't think you can call with anything else. With like ace queen offsuit, ace king offsuit, no way. I think you're calling with your big pocket pairs, so your queens, kings, aces, and then the ace king, ace queen of clubs. In this case, he had the flush draw and he missed. So Jacks held up. Jacks, I think, has an alternate play. He could easily check raise this on the flop. I do think you have to worry though, because you're playing the ace king, ace queen. You're playing up against them, and you have those flushes. And if you check raise and he comes back over the top, it's going to be hard for you to call with jacks. So you can kind of get away with it. And for that reason, I'm not sure if we should be doing a check raise on the turn either. Just because of his 3-bet stats. I think ace king, ace queen offsuits, or the hearts or the diamonds or the spades, I don't think would be continuing to bet at this point. I think you check called on the flop. I think you check call on the turn. On the river, I think if he bets again, I think it's gonna be. I think you probably call again. I'm not, and you're calling because you're protecting against the 3 barrels with ace king, ace queen, which some people can do. I'm just not sure if he could do it. So his c-bet stats are pretty high on the flop, and then he kind of backs off. So I think if he backs off on the turn, he probably doesn't have the ace king, ace queen non-flush draw. So when he bets the turn, I'm starting to think, okay, he actually has the big pairs that he does have in the hand, or that flush draw. And the only thing you're hoping for is that he's going for that flush draw. And you can see the breakdown. 90%, we can color code it, 90% of his range on the turn when he bets is going to be overpair. 10% is a flush draw. So I'm not really sure if that check raise is good. I'd say you might be able to find a fold. I think it's too early to find a fold. I think I would probably still call just because you have that flush draw there. Just because you have that flush draw. So we could probably check out GTO. So I think these will go pretty quickly because big blind's range is so tight. So let's go ahead and do that. So we've got in position is that. Out of position, still probably a little too wide. But we'll go with it. So we've got 7-3 and the 6 of diamonds. Yep. Build tree. Pot's 22. Effective stack is 91. Use custom filter. Has bet, we'll do 50%, and then we'll do 66%. I guess we'll do that, and we will build the tree. All right, so we're gonna run the solver, and we'll be back. All right, didn't take too long. So yeah, no big surprise. Check there. We're betting basically 100%. It's kind of what I imagine. And then villain's calling, so he doesn't really have a check raise. He could with ace-5 to mix it in. Looks like ace-9 of clubs could be a balance. Pocket fives maybe, but yeah, mostly it's just check raising. You do have the folds. You're going to be folding these hands. I probably fold those hands too. I think with, when you add up the queens, kings, and aces, that's 18 combos. You do have ace, queen, ace, king. I'd probably want to call with hands that actually have some sort of a backup draw, because if villain bets again, if big blind bets again on the turn, I want to be able to have something where I could reasonably continue. So he bets, and then we've got the 7 of spades. So this is where we're really kind of interested in. And he checks. Villain bets. He bets 66. He's betting all of those. Now GTO has him checking these flush draws, but betting ace king, ace queen. So let's say he bet, and then villain's raising. So villain isn't. I mean, he has some raises with jacks. Queens, I think, really takes out the overpair. So it takes out the queens, kings, aces, and really makes it more likely the villain's going to have those ace, king, ace, queen type hands. It does look like, so quads is a check raise, full house is a check raise, three of a kind is basically a check raise. The overpair though is only queens. So villain here with jacks, according to GTO, shouldn't be raising. Looks like he's raising with these small cards. So trips, and then your gut shot draws. Some of the flush draws are raising, but it does look like raise or fold. So some of his jacks could raise. I mean, it has him at about 30%. As basically a check raise all in. So he could play this way, for the reasons that we discussed. You know, folding's also an option. Folding's also an option. I think the biggest thing for the GTO is this guy's action on the turn. I kind of assumed you're going to be betting again, but I thought for sure like the ace king ace queen clubs, so the ace king clubs, ace queen clubs would have been bets, but he's actually, you know, GTO is actually wanting to keep those in the checking range, and instead using you know, your ace king offsuits as the checks. Now he's using ace of clubs, queen of diamonds as raise. But then ace king with ace of clubs as a check. So let's talk about that. Why the checks with the clubs? So I think the reason that you do that is if you have the ace king, ace queen of clubs like he does, you've just basically eliminated the chance that they have ace x of clubs. So it like the nut flush draw, in essence, you've basically eliminated that possibility that they have the nut flush draw, which means that they're calling with something that's probably not the flush draw. Like they have a pocket pair, and if they have that pocket pair, then why would you continue betting this when you know you're behind? So I think that's the reason, and I'm glad we did this hand, because I think that's something we didn't consider, we didn't think about. If we have the flush draw, it makes it less likely that he has them and has the overpair. I just kind of naturally thought, okay, well, he could have like an ace 7, could have ace 6, ace 3, you know, and call one time, and we know we're going to bet, and we have to balance against, you know, the aces and kings and the queens that we have in our range, but we could balance those with our non-flush draws. So I do think we learned something. I learned something here. I hope you enjoyed this hand. I hope you practice what we're learning. And if you want to see another hand, then I'd say look tomorrow. But in the last few weekends, I have been able to get a hand done on Saturday or Sunday. So you can look on the weekend. If not on the weekend, you'll definitely see it back again on Monday.